As well, Chiari isn't somebody that I know for their Jace. Well, we've only seen one kind of Jace today, and I'm looking forward to seeing a second.
I'm looking forward to seeing a second. Wow, wow.
Is that flame? I don't know.
I understand it as flame.
Okay.
I'm
not going to tell you you're wrong. That's what's not going to happen.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. Moving swiftly on then.
Yeah.
How broken is inspiration?
Pretty broken. Pretty broken. You pointed this out. I remember you pointed it out a while ago as well.
And it's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
8 out of 10 champions have taken inspiration this game. I'm fuming. Nerf these runes, please. Nevertheless, moving on again. Sal's gone for the cleanse, he's gone for the Airy. Now, when you take the Airy on the Xayah, you're indicating one very distinctive style of play, and it is the obnoxious, I will Q you from half your screen away and then E you again, but I will never auto-attack you because they don't do the damage that they want. A typically lethality-centric build, which incorporates a Mura mana as well, means that we could well see a fairly tumultuous mid-game for Liberty if Celo can hit those item breakpoints soon enough.
It is going to be about first power spikes for not just Celo, but for people like Croc as well. The Croc specifically, likely the place that you are going to take off. What is this? What is this? This is such a... Oh. It's... Do you think a reverse sweep will happen? Yeah. I understand. The faith is wavering, although we've actually... Okay. We got plays being made in the chat.
True. It was 3% at one point, and now it's not.
Yeah, things are equalizing a little bit, and I like it. I like that people still have faith in a team that was expected to perform quite highly today. I cannot believe that Celo has a 100% win rate on Xayah. That's crazy.
He's played one game.
Well, he had to win it, didn't he?
He did have to win it. Are you saying that Celo can't win any games?
Right, Annie, nice splash. Stun still comes through. Should be alive underneath the tower, but a nice chunk from Liberty to set Annie behind early. The R5 Victor still...
Okay, this is big.
You know?
This is big.
Mobile. They just come around and do it again, right?
Yep. Victor has no flash. We simply regank it when Ryze is based. We have a really good wave that's about to crash. As long as Croc doesn't get anything here... Oh, Hawk,
my god,
no.
Hawk is pretty darn low. Shield is in. Desamus shows bot side, and that's a lot of time that's being expended by Desamus just to wander around the map. But with Wasp coming up, this crab is not going to be taken by Croc. Instead, forced into the mid lane. Now you're shepherding the Lee Sin all the way through into the top side, and Liberty are looking good. They're literally controlling what Netshoes can and can't do.
I'm loving Voss's movement this game. This is the first time we get to see him on an engaged style champion. He's not even taking his first base. It's not even 4 minutes. It's abandoned bot lane. He doesn't care. I'm out of there. I'll see you later.
Yeah. Enjoy, Matsukaze. Picking up solo XP, by the way. Well, I leached the XP off of mid lane, which he did. He did hit level 3.
True.
Yeah.
Crastial cries in Crastial. He loses just a little bit of experience, but overall it's not going to be too diminishing to him. He's able to get that wave crashed, able to TP back. Croc does steal away this red buff, and then obviously Desamus, with all of the movements and all of those ganks, did have to sacrifice something. Looks like it's going to be the red.
Taken away just in time. And spotted as well, so a little bit of mind control going the way of Netshoes this time. Wasp will spot out exactly what happened, but with his AD carry already on the reset, I don't think red is going to be super impactful. Chiari going down, though, would be. Nice smack away on Doran. Keeps him alive, if not healthy.
Yeah, that's a good. Those are two apt words for the situation that Chiari finds himself in. Now, he did go for the much greedier route in this laning phase. He's gone for longsword plus refillable, not even longsword plus 3 pots, so he has effectively 200 less HP from consumables than he would have done had he gone for those 3 potions. He also has less laning stats. Longsword is flat AD versus the Doran shield, which gives you health, some extra resistance to auto attacks as well, or rather a nice health regen boon after that, and especially with the ninja tab he's built up. Plated steel caps, sorry season 11, but the plated steel caps coming through for Doran. There's no real pressure being put onto Doran for this time being.
No, Gnar likely going to go pretty unchallenged in this lane. Chiari opting in for more of that poke style that we talked about in Game 2 for Netshoes. This time, Liberty are the ones that have access to what should be a Jace that gets ahead, or is at least able to stack up a lot of levels and a lot of items. Cannot lose focus on the side lane, though, and that's the difficulty that we've encountered with Jaces, that they'll try and go for a little bit too much. Chiari, definitely a man of singular purpose, tends to stay in that side lane, so we'll see how it ends up stacking up.
And as well as all that, I want to draw your attention to the mid lane item routes, item purchases thus far for particularly Annie here. Initial rush of tier 2 boots has gone for immediate mobility. And now with this top lane in a bit of jeopardy, can Liberty find anything onto Doran?
Well, it is alone under tower, but about to hit Mega and has the level 6. With Croc in the area, the disengage is the smarter move. And
Yes.
Liberty take it quickly, but Annie potentially thinking about a re-engage or just a little bit of poke. Lays it down on Chiari, but Crastiel and Tasamis are ready to fight. Level 6 gets hit by Doran. No slam to the wall just yet as Crastiel flashes away. Still got Croc on top of him. Realm Orb may take him out to safety, and it does! Hip hopping back in. Chiari tries to go for the kill. Gets first blood picked up on Annie. And though it's a 1-for-1, Liberty are not the ones that start that fight, but they're still the ones that come away with an extra 100 gold.
Just barely. Now, there's obviously going to be implications across both solo lanes for this. Chiari going to miss likely a few minions in the top side, and Annie, you would imagine, misses some in the mid lane, but that's not the case here. We've actually got Crastiel immediately basing, hoping to try and catch this wave on the crash. Samus can't hold this. Croc forces it under the turret, so overall, it's not the worst case scenario on either side. Kind of a neutral play for both teams, but we look at where the gold went. One kill went onto your Lee Sin versus another kill went onto the Jace. Now, if Croc is able to snowball this early game a little bit with that extra kill, that's certainly something to look at.
Yeah, this is the concerning thing, is whether each of those kills can take off. Hey, look at that. We had the Leona earlier, the graphic telling us that it was the 50th time that Leona was picked this split. And, interestingly enough, also the most picked support. I wonder why, Rudude. I wonder why.
Scratching my head on that one a little bit. Could it be to do with an ability that also shares its name with a mythic?
I think it might. I think it just might.
Yeah.
But I'm as confused as you are, right? We'll leave it up to the scientists to decide. 8 minutes in, Rift Herald has spawned. Liberty are already all over its face. And we can assume that Netshoes are going to try and trade something for this. Normally we'd see a bot lane dive attempted, but with the push coming from Liberty, that's inaccessible. No dragon gone for either, so really just a Rift Herald and trade for, well, nothing, Rooted.
Nothing yet. We can see that Cello is going to have push in the bot lane. Victor as well for Annie has push in the mid lane. And that might just signal the Drake start, maybe just a little bit later, but obviously, as you touched on, it did take them a little bit of time. There's an opportunity for a contest, however, Desamis is in the top lane. So, never we mind. It is going to be that trade of 1 for 1 neutral objective. It's on complete vision. Liberty know that this is happening, and they're quite happy with it regardless. Working toward their own early game win conditions using this Rift Herald is something that we've seen time and time again from CBLOL teams going as far back as split number 1 from last season. Now, I've got Croc lurking nearby. There's an opportunity for a dive here. Mercury Treads plus a tier means that this Lee Sin is exactly the right type of champion to take down Ryze.
Now, question for you. I mean, last time we saw the Rift Herald picked up by Liberty, we were asking, or actually no, it was by Netshoes in the first game. I asked where it should go. Right? Do you funnel it in to get your Jace ahead? Do you put it in mid lane to try and open the map? Do you try and get your AD carry ahead? With Liberty now having that choice up against Annie in the mid lane, does your answer change, or does it still go mid lane?
Still goes mid lane for me. Particularly when Crastiel was such a carry in the last game, giving him any sort of resources really does help. But it's the same sort of situation where crashing waves into a Victor doesn't tend to happen at this stage in the game because you can just wave clear them so convincingly. So using that Rift Herald to break open even just a couple of plates and chip away at that turret is so useful for you come the later stages of the game, where if there's one mismanaged wave from NMG, you can quite easily just swoop in, pick up that minion wave and take the turret, whereas previously if you hadn't have put 1 or 2 heralds down there, that wouldn't have been the case.
Matsukaze is perfectly comfortable taking plates on his own as well. A little bit of pressure gets applied from Liberty. It's already about 300 gold, a little over that goes over into the pockets of Matsukaze. Solo plating on that bot lane tower and up against Cello with already a 20 CS lead. This is looking like a monstrous Matsukaze that's going to be arriving in the mid game.
Total gold as well, as you can see on the left-hand sides of your screen. 3 carries for Liberty, all outweighing their counterparts right now. About 800 between the AD carries, the top lane as well, a little over 400, and the mid lane, the lowest here is constantly chopping and changing as those minion waves do get crashed. But nevertheless, currently a strong advantage for Liberty, and they opt to use this Rift Herald in the top lane, and they don't want to see the Jace of Doran translating it into Chiari's gameplay.
Now they are injecting a lot of gold, a lot of momentum up here, and keeping Doran at bay. Netshoes are here to address this, though. 3 members have all roamed up to the 4 of Liberty and are ready to take the fight. Doran with the ult available as well, but is not going to overextend for this, knowing as well as we do the dangers of jumping into 3 people who are very ready to kill you, even as Meganar.
Good timing as well for the bot lane reset, just as a byproduct of this. Liberty have now got this window to send Matsukaze back to base. He picks up a full Gale Force, where Cello is going to want to push that extra wave in, and that is likely to be caught by Matsukaze. Both these ADCs hitting their mythics at fairly early breakpoints will be looking to take some sort of skirmishes within the non-too-distant future, because as you can see across the rest of the map, ain't nobody else got their mythics, outside, of course, of Chiari.
Yeah, this is a big spike, however. Cello picks theirs up as well. Eclipse on the Xayah. And now Matsukaze having the Gale Force. We're starting to get them rolling in. And on the 1 item spike, I think traditionally I'd like Netshoes, just because you're getting it on Lee Sin and Cello, but Lee Sin's a little bit behind the curve, and it seems like Liberty are the ones that are spiking earlier, with Croc trying to make a play up topside. Chiari does burn that flash this time around. Not quite the slippery snake that Doran is, but still able to get away.
A little bit of hesitation from Croc and Doran right there, neither one of them burning their own flash to follow, which means that there are follow-up plays to be made if they find the window to do so, but now Chiari should be playing with a lot more care in his mentality.
Red, white, and a stacked wave. In comes the Realm Warp. Crastiel and Matsukaze are going to be a little bit late to this play as Teleport's coming in. Wasp lays down the CC and does get out from underneath the tower, barely. Crastiel trying to do the same thing, but forced to expend the flash on 1 HP right now. Matsukaze? Okay. Matsukaze is still pretty scary, so I like that he takes the front position even as an AD carry, but Liberty start that play and they don't get anything for it.
I was expecting a flash play from Annie right there. He had the flash laser ready to go, but he doesn't quite pull the trigger. And as a change up for all of that, it's actually going to be this top lane tier 1 turret that's the first to fall. Remember, the Rift Herald did take it down to just 1 plate. And that return on investment, 610 gold, goes into the pockets of Chiari, despite his flash being burned, despite the initial pressure put up there by Croc. Once again, it's Chiari who finds himself with the lead.
Let's see how this side lane ends up continuing in its evolution. Now, Netshoes start up the Dragon, but they don't know where they didn't know where Dasamis was. Now spotting him out on the ward, they know that this isn't as safe as they would like it to be, having expected that he would go topside. Liberty are actually the ones that get the chance to retain the aggro, not going for the play themselves. Oh my god, the difference in plating collected is huge.
That's pretty big. That's exclusively in the top lane as well, I'm pretty sure. There's 2 plates, of course, secured in the bot lane by Matsukaze, but 5 of those plates were on the Jace. So that's moderately terrifying.
It's pretty wild. This is looking like a very, very different game if you are a fan of Jace. Hextech Dragon going to be coming up with both of our teams having just 1 Drake apiece. Soul is in reach, but a little bit further down the line, a little bit later. And when I'm thinking about late game, I'm curious, Rudude, where your thoughts will lie. Because I see an Aphelios, but on the other side, I do see a Victor. So how are we feeling?
I see 1-3-1 for Liberty. I see teamfight for Netshoes. Ryze and Jace are going to love being in a side lane this game, particularly with how accelerated Chiari is. Those concerns I had about Dorun versus the Jace in the top lane aren't going to be quite as palpable to begin with. And when I look at Ryze versus Victor, I'm certainly a very big fan of having Ryze in a side lane at pretty much all instances of the game, despite the fact that he's a very good team fighter. Is still always just a slightly better split pusher. Has opted into the Unsealed Spellbook in this game as opposed to the Phase Rush, which we do tend to see, which will hamper his side lane capabilities just a little bit. There's a second Rift Herald attempt right now, and with Crastial on a reset, Netshoes have got away with this one blind.
Liberty seem vastly uninterested in contesting, despite the fact they knew this objective would be up and that Netshoes could go for it. It seems like their game plan, at least to them, is sort of out of plays at the moment, having already taken the tower up in top side. Was is actually going for this, flashing directly on top of Crastial. Chiari gets stalled out though, can't disrespect Cello instead. Cello melting Was for that, but 2 kills still do go over to Liberty, and one of them onto Matsukaze.
Both of them know onto Matsukaze there.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
he collected the double, and once again, picking up more and more gold onto this Aphelios. He goes back, picks himself up a BF sword. Chiari likely going to be the one to pick up the turret as well. I mean, Voss, we see him here. This is 1v3, but then all of a sudden, TP plus Realm Warp, and the boys are there to support. Yes, he goes down, but does it matter? Liberty, they will not mind, they will not care. They'll quite happily sacrifice their support for the greater good of getting 2 kills on their ADC.
Was is such a baller. Holy moly. That's all I can think watching that again. Like, he knows he's going to die. He just doesn't care. That's the thing that makes him so terrifying.
It's the thing that costs Liberty a few games, but it's also the thing that wins Liberty a lot of games.
And in this case, it's put them ahead, 4,000 gold. Hasn't won them the game yet. That's pretty good.
It's put them in a really good spot, and when we've seen Liberty in really good spots before, they tend to be able to convert on them. Now Croc uses the Herald in the mid lane.
Okay, does get yeeted back very quickly.
That's a very big kick.
Yeah,
he kicked so hard he bounced himself back.
They do get the crash in the mid lane for that, but I'd be thinking twice about approaching it. It's a lot of distance. One heck of a leg on Chiari as Hextech has taken a big upgrade. Matsukaze, free to farm in this mid lane as well, still maintaining the 20-ish CS lead on Cello. Is going to be the carry in the later stages of this game. It's actually been a pretty slow one for Liberty, all things considered. Yeah, they've got kills, but the actual pacing has been well controlled by Netshoes so far to make sure that things aren't snowballing out of control.
Now, they have done a good job at collecting those few resources that Liberty have forfeited to them. I think that if there was to be a fight around the Rift Herald, then Liberty would have more than happily taken it. But, like I say, Netshoes, they've done a good job at collecting that Rift Herald, making sure that they're at least using it to get something, and it may not have been a turret or any tangible gold lead, but it is that ever-present pressure of, hey, you leave this turret open for too long, we'll be able to take it. And that may well be the play that they're making right now.
Yeah, Crastial actually realm warping right now aggressively as well. With Was here, they're going on the dive, and Mininar cannot do much against it. Doesn't get to have any fun as Desames jumps out from underneath the tower and can now assist with, I suppose, crashing this wave since they're not going to go for the actual damage on it.
Looks like they want to reset and try and take this dragon. With setting up for some win conditions, obviously the Hextech Soul, one of the best souls in the game right now, would argue the top one. If you're able to collect that, you do put yourself in a very good position for the rest of the game. So getting those resets in, making sure that you are making your moves as a pack, because they obviously expended a lot of resources to go into that top side. And kind of unfortunately for NMG, that control ward didn't quite get spotted out, and they have a lot more information than they otherwise would have done. Would have had to be blind face checking into a lot of this jungle as opposed to that control ward just helping them out. Chiari low.
I'm worried about him as well, especially with Croc coming down. Netshoes smell blood in the water. Flash has already been expended. Croc is just going to kick him in the face, taking this kill with the least amount of error possible. Take no risks, but Netshoes do still lose momentum in the mid lane, where Crastiel was taking some chunks out of the turret. They could go on the engage. They do have the numbers advantage technically, but I like that they opt into the dragon instead.
Rare misstep from Chiari, getting picked off by pretty much any start. who then obviously sets up very nicely for Croc to come in and finish the job. So getting taken down does cost Liberty the Dragon, and we're starting to see these slight windows of opportunity for Netshoes to potentially be the difference maker and potentially start finding their own place.
I'm liking it. Crastiel finding Dorun, however, who is not in nearly as much of an autonomous state as the rest of his team, pushing up in the lane, gets pretty darn quickly punished. And at this point, Dorun, with every death, is being taken further and further away, especially since he's opted in for the Trinity Force.
Dare I say Baron? No,
I don't think so.
I don't. No.
Is that Dare and apostrophe T?
No, it was just Dare, and then maybe Dent afterwards. But yes.
Okay.
They get the mid lane, or they get the top lane tier 2. Mid lane tier 1 still standing strong in this this match for both sides. Slightly stronger for the Netshoes Miners right now. They've got a little bit more resistance behind it. Any here, we're about to find out why you want a Rift Herald up against a Victor.
Feels bad.
Well, that wasn't quite the.
It's okay. The message got across.
Yeah.
I am a little bit worried.
Good. Why are you worried, dear?
I feel like this game has been slow enough, and we have been relaxed enough about it, and for good reason, that it may not be evident to some who are just tuning in that Netshoes have to win this game. If they don't win this game, they're out of Split 1. That's it. They go down right here, right now. Liberty, by the same token, could move on in the playoffs off of this very game, and on a 3-0 no less, it would be a big start to what was a ultimately disappointing season for them. Both these teams have a lot to fight for, but Netshoes are the ones backed up against a wall, and that means that every play that they make, they have to be almost 100% confident in working, because they have no choice if it doesn't. Right now, this is the confidence they have. Hawk goes on the engage up against Was, who does flash away, but ultimately it's an engage that Netshoes end up winning, with Dorun about to hit Mega as well. They could continue this in the team fight. Croc does land at the Q. Crastiel turning around with the damage. Mega does get popped from Dorun, and that honestly sets Liberty up to be able to tango continually. Now they know no additional CC, but Netshoes are not interested in continuing the fight themselves, disengaging with no blood drawn.
Largely just poke on the supports and the front lines here. Dorun also got a bad end of a Rise combo, but other than that, nobody goes down. No high priority targets found with the CC, found with the skills. It means that both of the teams walk away still all intact, as you say, dear. No blood drawn. You talked about the stakes of this game, the tournament life that NMG are playing on. They're down 5k gold here. Those decisions that they've made through the early stages didn't pay off, but they are still well within their rights to start taking team fights. The way this composition is going to function is in a 5v5. They will have an edge if they're on even gold. Fortunately enough for Liberty, that's not the case right now. They have that 5,000 gold lead, and for Liberty, their routes to success should come from those side lanes, but until Kiari has that TP, it's going to be a lot of a bit of a waiting game. They don't want to send Kiari into a lane where he can't get to a Baron quickly, where they can't make these cross-map plays. And what they've done very well is actually focus on Kiari's lane. They've taken down Dorun twice, forced the flash from him once, and killed him regardless. If they opt into that one once again, we could see another instance of Game 2 where it's just the Kiari show.
Now, outside of these side lane plays, Liberty are paying a lot of respect, and with Kiari backing on Vision, it's a reset that comes just as his teleport becomes available. Liberty now, in a way, are unleashed to start a play. Kiari teleporting in, Cello may just get caught, but no Gravitum this time around. Matsukaze still eats a lot of damage, but there's no answer to it, as Liberty expended the teleport as soon as it comes up to find ultimately nothing.
Really good at resource expenditure then for Netshoes. They're able to get that teleport out, and now we'll have a slight side lane advantage. We've got the Drake spawning in 30 seconds. Once again, this is where you want Kiari to really be putting in his value, making it known. Start poking out some of these champions that don't have the sustain, don't have the ability to get that health back. Hawk is one of them, not necessarily the prime target, but certainly up there on the hit list.
Matsukaze is working on getting up towards
they got
Infernum,
Croc.
working on trying to take a team fight, but the rest of his team simply does not care. Desamas is able to start things off right, but Croc gets taken down,
Liberty.
answering back. Kiari picks up a double kill, and again, not looking like they were set up right at all. Liberty are going to end up taking the fight, maybe with Kiari getting out alive. Oh my god, he's alive.
He's going to have EQ, takes any low as well, and my oh my dear, it's another fight in favour of Liberty. Another fight that goes their way and edges them one step closer to going one step further on in the playoffs. This is for Netshoes tournament lives. The catch out onto Croc, and then Hawk here flashes forward, but just gets rooted on the Everfrost. Can't find the Q that he's looking for. And when he's in that root duration, just gets absolutely obliterated here. Really good kite back from Annie and Cello to make sure that they're not the ones that go down, and almost taking out Kiari, who has a really good flash to dodge out and a couple feathers on the pullback.
Where did all the damage come from? How did they kill Croc so quickly?
I think Aphelios is pretty strong. And also Rise is just piling damage in. Jace is just piling damage.
It's so wild to see them be able to fully focus Croc without him laying down any displacement, without really being able to make good use of the Gore Drinker and be a nuisance in the backline, because he is one of the only forms of engage when Hawk isn't able to pick it up, when Dobrin can't get into the front lines, and right now, that's been true. Liberty aren't letting this Meganar anywhere near them. They're playing around Dobrin's timer really well. Hawk is continuing to be plagued by the Nautilus that simply cannot find access to the backline, and Liberty are continuing to pull ahead.
Oh, they just killed Cello. And I don't quite know where Liberty go from this, but typically you kill the AD carry 26 minutes into the game. That means Baron.
Yeah, that seems like they're on the same page as you, dude. Baron going to be taken down now. Likely no contest from the Netshoes, who would have to walk through Crastiel in order to even get here. Croc displays very little interest in walking up, and now is going to see Crastiel on the way. Was actually goes over the wall. The flash comes in, but Croc gets him melted first. Matsukaze's left alone in the pit with the Baron, but even he disengages as he realizes that Liberty is starting to win the fight, instead turning right around back onto the Baron with the Realm Warp on top of Annie. Cello could find a massive root here, but it doesn't do nearly enough damage. Baron is down, and so are the Netshoes miners. Just Cello and Annie left alive, but is that enough to keep hope?
Liberty are dominating in this game. They take the fight around the Baron. They take the Baron itself. And little by little, they are mounting these leads and mounting these advantages that puts them out in charge. Crastiel TP's into the top lane. He's going to look to break open the base. They're wasting no time with this Baron. There's only 2 carries up for Netshoes. Liberty, they're breaking open not just one lane, but 2. Top and mid now under fire.
This is absolutely perfect play from Liberty off the back of that as well. Croc is getting chunked out, and despite the slow pace of the game, Netshoes really don't have anything they can do. We talk about how Liberty are constantly dodging their engages. Well, when Liberty decide to take a fight, Netshoes feel like are automatically fighting at a numbers disadvantage.
And despite all that, I still hold out hope. There's something about the Netshoes. There's something about the Netshoes that just, you never know.
It's
and
true.
I think it comes from this team fight composition that they've got for themselves. The power of one good ulti, that 1% team fight that you find. If Dobrin sets it up, then NMG are going to waste no time knocking it down. They've got Victor ult, they've got Featherstorm and Blade Caller. They have the damage. They have the skills, rather. Whether they've got the damage at this late stage is still to be seen, because we've got Crastiel at this stage, Fimbulwinter plus Frozen Heart, the core of Rise's tanky itemization now fully picked up. This Armis has got that Death Stance as well, so the damage that he takes is going to be mitigated slightly just by proxy of having that item.
Oh my god, Annie, please! He's taking so much damage. He's half health. He might just go down. The last auto doesn't quite land. Annie is able to survive. Matsukaze can't pick it up. But even so, underneath the tower, Annie is forced all the way back. Netshoes barely hanging on to hope. They still need that picture-perfect team fight, but they get to keep hope alive for at least a little bit longer, because while their mid laner is in the game, Liberty can't end.
No Chaos Storm though now, if there was to be a fight, a really big tool not available for Netshoes, but fortunately They've got the wave
Oh!
regardless of Baron. They're able to take down these waves. The Xayah, whilst she may take a lot of damage, she also dishes out enough to keep the waves at bay. There are 2 open inhibitors for Liberty, and I'm surprised that's not where they focus their attention, but they want to use this Baron to finish off any form of structures, even within the base, and if they can do so, it makes the rest of their game incredibly easy.
Now with Liberty knocking at the door, Doran is ready with the Mega, and you can see the respect that Liberty are paying, knowing that it takes one picture-perfect team fight from the Netshoes to find this win. And with 4 seconds left on Drake, I'd be surprised if Liberty don't at least commit some cursory resources to try and pick that up, because they're able to keep the majority of Netshoes at arm's length and could use the extra buff.
Now, with the Baron having expired, we've got a Drake just now spawned fight.
2 different fights. Zello is actually going to get a heck of a root, but it only takes Wasp to about half HP. Meanwhile, Hawk is taken significantly lower as he ends up going down. Realm Warp inside the base as well as Crastiel jumps over the wall, hands over a double kill to Disamis. That's 2 down, and maybe even a 3rd. Does end up falling, though.
Double kill for Annie.
Was has gone down as well. Matsukaze and Crastiel, though, still in this. Chiari at the same time. The damage is still there for Liberty, but they respect Doran on the Meganar once again and back away again, I say, hopefully to this dragon.
Bot lane for frontline. Now this is a fight and a trade that Liberty are more than happy to take. Despite the fact they have no jungler, they will easily be able to zone off Croc as he tries to approach this Drake. Doesn't even want to. Isn't even bothered by the soul point taken by Crastiel and Matsukaze. Another fight that goes their way, dear. Regardless of the kills, it's 2 inhibitors that go the way of Netshoes, or that go against Netshoes miners. They've now got 5 minutes of double super waves crashing into their base, and all that time, all of these minions that are coming in, they're going to have to deal with Baron prep from Liberty, potential setup on the top lane to take down that final inhibitor. Remember when we talked about the fact that they'd left these inhibs open? It means that they are easily collected with or without that Baron. Liberty right now, they run with the opportunity of choice. They can do what they please with this game and with the time that they have on their hands. 1 minute until the Baron. They can go up to that top side. If they control this entire top side of the jungle, they're able to hit this inhibitor, potentially even take it down. And then defaulting back to that Baron is a given.
I tell you what I'm remembering right now is the conversation we had just last game about levels, because it's coming into play again. Chiara is 2 levels over Doran. Disamis has 1 on Croc. Annie and Crastiel are the only ones that are even outside of the supports. And it means that there's a lot of pressure on this Victor to actually be a carry force in this game. And he cannot be supplementary damage. It's got to be reliant on this Victor for the engage, or sorry, not for the engage, but for the actual team fight DPS. Meanwhile, nice ult comes in from Was. Still no commitment though. We're still going into a Meganar as Doran's ult, or rather Meganar expires. That's when you get to start fighting. Infernum ult does quite a bit. Matsukaze still waiting, but he's got red-white at this point, and now is when you do not fight the Aphelios, and it feels like poor timing.
Zello incredibly chunked out. No Featherstorm, no Flash, no Cleanse. This is going to be the 3rd inhibitor going down for Liberty. That Baron, as we talked about, they can default back to it, but look at the waves, look at the damage. This is all Chiari. He's pumping out the DPS with this Jace. And with that bot lane Nexus turret now in shambles, they might just walk up and take it.
Chiari has been incredible in both games that we've seen today. Hawk has not been able to participate, but in goes Doran. He finds the Meganar, but nobody is there to support him, and he has to go golden, and that means there's no damage. Netshoes miners, they finally find a fight, but it isn't the one that they had hoped for. They do not have the time. They do not have the resources. They do not have the liberty of contesting this squad, as Liberty are going to send themselves into the next round of the playoffs off a clean 3-0.
Well, the